You're ready for your first run through Baldur's Gate. And for the sake of this vlog, we're going to go through the entire series. We're going to do BG1. We're going to do Siege, which I'm calling BG2. Then we're going to do BG2, which is really BG3. Then we're going to do Throne, which is kind of like BG 3.5. But you're going to go from level 1 to level high. Now, there's not going to be any spoilers in this vlog. I want you to discover the quests. I want you to see the backstory narrative. I want you to make those decisions and see how things unfold and be able to see the links in between each one. So the question we're going to ask, if I'm playing Baldur's Gate for that first time, what's the best character class to play? And I say best character class because you're learning the system, not just learning Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, the rules, but there's a lot of nuances to the game. Party management, click here, do that, use this potion, cast this spell, pause, move here, click this, switch this weapon. It's a little tactical. And there are some encounters in the game, no spoilers, where it's a little bit more challenging for certain character classes over others, or you're going to have to do a couple of reloads facing some of the monsters, some of the challenges. Nothing wrong with that. That's why absolutely you want to be hitting that save as you go. We're not doing a no reload hardcore run. This is your first playthrough. We also want to select a character class that, for your primary character, that allows you to kind of explore the most side quests where you have opportunity to do them and pursue them with a little bit of forgiveness. So in my opinion, the easiest and best first character classes to play would be a fighter or a paladin. And I say this because the first playthrough is going to be about discovery, making decisions, and dealing with the unknown. As you become more proficient in the game, and you're going to play through easily 3 or 4 or 5 times, maybe 6, before you have the entire story locked down and all the side quests. That right there is a tremendous playthrough. Then at that point, when you complete that, you're going to go through and explore the different character classes. What if I play a thief? What if I play a mage? What if I play this type of character class? Then you've got the various kits. So you have tons and tons of playthroughs, even when you have the story memorized. But I say for that first playthrough, not that you can't play a sorcerer or a monk or a mage, but here's why I say fighter or paladin. Hit points. You've got a good amount of hit points. You're going to be figuring things out. You're going to be learning combinations. A slight hint here, without giving anything away, damage reduction is huge. Having the ability through potions, buffs, and resists to suddenly have fire resistance or electrical resistance and understand how that works and when to pop that off is massive. If you're learning that or you're not aware of that, having a big pool of hit points helps. I mean, it helps across the entire game to be able to take some damage. And a fighter and a paladin give you that. Second is armor class. Armor class, not getting hit, right? Thaco, getting that number down. There are lots and lots of different armors in the game to be able to use all of the armors. Now, as a fighter, yeah, maybe in the beginning you're wearing leather armor, but you're going to upgrade as you move along. Bringing your armor class down for a fighter or a paladin combined with hit points means you have a good starting base. Damage dealing, right? You have access to a ton of weapons. Now, the damage seems pretty straightforward. A fighter, click pause, click weapon, click attack, unpause. A little bit more than that. You've got potions. You've got different weapons that you can utilize. You've got weapon specialization. So there is some tactica between dealing damage, but it's not as complex as popping off mage spells and chaining mage spells and positioning with a thief to get sneak attack or bard support. It's straightforward and it deals a lot of damage. So very forgiving, a lot of options, very, very straightforward. Because here's the other thing. You can also be managing the other party members too. It's not just playing your character. I also say a fighter and a paladin because there are numerous magic items in the game. And playing a fighter or paladin gets you the majority of those items to use. Yes, there are specific class-based items like a monk or a wizard, and you're not going to be able to use those. But there are lots and lots of weapons in the game. You're going to be able to utilize them. Lots of suits of armor, lots of rings, lots of potions, lots of helmets, lots of shields. The ability to play around with and swap weapons in and out and see what you like and learn it, it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun, as opposed to picking a more obscure character class and passing on some of the magic items, which makes sense after you've been through a few times. Now, I also say Paladin because Paladin is fighter-esque like, but it also opens up some neat abilities in terms of some Paladin-specific spell-like abilities. This is going to boost the Paladin's ability, but it's also going to give you a little taste of clickies and casting spells from your primary tune without dragging things down to being a wizard or a cleric from that perspective. Although one could possibly say a cleric also makes a great playthrough, but now you're managing heavy spell casting and buffing primarily in a support role. And that's a little bit different from that perspective. So in exploring that first playthrough, there is no wrong character class. But if I had to recommend for maximum story, maximum fun, with the most forgiving of the character classes, because there's some interesting stuff you're going to be fighting, I would say Fighter and Paladin. Turning it over to my fellow BG enthusiasts, that first playthrough, what was your character class? And now that you've had the chance to experience the game a little bit without any giving away any spoilers, what character class would you look to recommend second to Fighter? Or maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe you're like, Fritz, Thief is definitely the way to go. Or Cleric. Your thoughts in the comments.